Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another episode of ReaperCast. Today we're going to be talking about a few more cards coming out in Battle of Chaos. Definitely very exciting cards. I will have to apologize in advance for the actual rain outside. I'm honestly really surprised. It's the middle of spring right now and it's still raining like crazy. And this is not just today, but every single day for the past week it's just been raining heavily. Which is kind of a shame because that does affect the quality of the video since you guys would be able to hear it in the background, but if you guys can't then that's definitely great. Otherwise, we do have plenty of things to actually talk about today, so I'm very excited about it because of the fact that the new Megatins really gave us some great support for Dogmatika, or rather it gave us great reprints for them. And this pretty much meant that the deck is on another budget level, allowing people, well at least more people, the chance to actually buy the deck and build the deck and actually play it, which is fantastic of course, because the original deck is like what, $500, $600 just for the general core. If you really wanted to complete the deck, you might have to spend close to $1,000, maybe even more than that. But with it being reprinted from the tin, you could get a core for about roughly $200, which is definitely a huge improvement. Still quite pricey though, but with that being said, we are getting some new Dogmatika support in Battle of Chaos, so we're going to be talking about both of them today. But before I get started, let me remind you guys to consider dropping a like, share, comment and subscribe if you still haven't. That way you could be notified when the latest video comes out. But without further ado, let's begin. So, as I said earlier, we are talking about two new Dogmatika cards. It's basically a new ritual monster with a new ritual spell. Rituals aren't necessarily too amazing in this particular current format, but perhaps this one might change things up a bit. So over here we have White Exalted of Dogmatika, a level 4 light spellcaster ritual effects monster with 500 attack and 2500 defense. I'm very surprised to see that this is actually a level 4 ritual. I actually thought it would be more of a level 8 or level 9, kind of like a boss monster. But to see this is definitely a surprise. So you can ritual summon this card with Dogmatika, kind of like a play on words with Saber, but with Dogmatika and Burr. You can only use the third effect of this card's name once per turn. So first effect, if this card is ritual summoned, you could target 2 face-up monsters on a field, one of them gains attack equal to the others. That's not bad, but it's not particularly amazing either. Honestly, it doesn't really serve too much of a purpose in a particular play. Second effect, your level 8 or higher Dogmatika monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. Alright, that's not bad, bit of a protection effect there, definitely very nice. And given that this has a nice 2500 beat stick or 2500 defense, it does kind of sit there as a nice wall, given that it's also really easy to summon I guess, given it's only a level 4. Now, as for the third effect, if a monster is special summoned from your opponent's extra deck, you can look at your opponent's extra deck, and if you do, send one monster from it to the graveyard. Alright, so that's definitely really amazing. I'm actually impressed with that particular effect. That's what makes it amazing. I thought maybe you would summon out this and use it more so as an extension to just go for more link climbing, stuff like that, but seeing that this is more so just a monster you bring out and leave on the field, as a means of both defense and also just stopping your opponents or at least disrupting their resources, I definitely do like how it actually plays out. And to slowly chip away at your opponent's extra deck, there are certain decks out there that will definitely take a huge hit from that. However, let's move on to the next card. We have over here Dogmatika, which without a doubt is the ritual spell card. This card can be used to ritual summon any Dogmatika ritual monster. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. Ritual summon one Dogmatika ritual monster from your hand or graveyard by tributing monsters from your hand or field and or banishing fusion or synchro monsters from your graveyard whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster you ritual summoned. Then if both White Knight of Dogmatika and White Exalted of Dogmatika are on the field, you could look at either extra deck, and if you do, send one monster from it to the graveyard. Okay, that's actually not bad. Having this card here and the previous card together to kind of act as a means to destroy your opponent's extra deck, that's quite powerful. Now of course it only applies to decks that actually use the extra deck a lot, or at least relies on it. But even so, both of these have great synergy with each other, and the fact that you could potentially use this with one of your much older cards for Dogmatika really just adds a whole completeness to the actual archetype itself with these new cards being released. not making it seem too much like generic support that you just throw in, but rather integrated effects that actually make the deck wholesome. Collectively, these two cards are actually quite amazing. Individually, maybe not so much, given that they don't really offer too much on their own. However, Dogmatika is definitely very unique in its own way of playstyle, so to have these two cards, it's not something to really complain about. Now, moving on here, I wanted to talk about one more card, and that is Dharc the Dharc Charmer Umbral. At long last, we finally have Dharc as a link monster. Every single of the Charmers have been made into a link form, of course, starting off with Heater. So the fact that we've finally reached the 6th Charmer is definitely really fun, of course, but it was definitely a very long journey. I mean, consider how long Heater was released for the first time. But nevertheless, I guess this is something to look forward to. This is a Dharc Spellcaster Link Effect monster, being a Link 2 with 1850 attack, and points to the bottom left and bottom right. This is pretty much just similar to all the other previous Charmer Link monsters out there. And of course, just like the others, this card is always treated as a familiar possessed card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. So first effect, you can target one Dharc monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to a zone this card points to. Now this is of course similar to all of the previous ones, however it's more significant in Dharc because of the fact that there are so many more Dharc decks out there, no pun intended of course. In which case, Dharc monsters that you could actually steal is more likely to occur. Heater was only good for a while because of the fact that you were playing Salamangreats during that particular era. But every other one that followed didn't really play too much of a role. Maybe Lina did because she was a light, but Dharc is definitely going to be a very significant card, and I see this card being played in a lot of decks out there. Of course, it depends if they actually have the space for it, but it is really nice to actually just take one of your opponent's monsters. Now as for the second effect, if this link summon card is destroyed by battle or is destroyed by an opponent's card effect while in its owner's monster zone, you can add one Dharc monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. That's of course also a similar trait in that particular case, but the fact that yes, this is synergetic with a lot of Dharc decks out there is a added bonus out there. I'm already thinking of plenty of decks to play it in. There are so many more Dharc decks out there than you think, so to have this card out as a potential way to extend those particular decks, I don't think anyone's complaining about it. Of course, everything else is similar about the other Charmer links, but the whole idea here is mainly being that this attribute just has so much more advantages than the other ones. But what do you think about this? Definitely let me know in the comments down below. Do you have any ideas for how these cards could be incorporated into certain combos or plays? However, with that being said, thanks for joining me today. I hope you all have a wondrous day. I'll see you all next time.